You're listening to the Personal Mastery Podcast with Ari Baga, interviewing CEOs and executives who are performing at the highest level in their industry, working purposefully towards a vision in alignment with their values, and in a state of constant learning about the self. Welcome to Season 2 of the Personal Mastery Podcast. Our guest is Eric Bandholz. Now, Eric is an amazing guy, and he's been able to build a very large brand over the past 8 years. He's the founder and CEO of Beardbrand, where he's been able to build a community of urban beardsmen. They have a combined following of over 2 million followers across YouTube, Instagram, and Reddit. And over 40% of the revenue comes from those channels alone. So if you're a direct-to-consumer e-commerce marketer that's ever been interested in building a community, learning how to create content, as well as how to distribute that content across multiple channels, then this episode is for you. I really think you're gonna enjoy this episode. So without further ado, here's Eric. Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Man, that voice is truly special. Like, were you born with it, or did you like master that voice
I don't know,
growing up?
my voice is probably the thing that I get the most comments on my YouTube
Yeah,
videos, but yeah, I don't know. Life's just kind of too boring to be the same monotone.
that's true.
So I like
Um,
to start out a little squeaky.
okay. And you're calling from Austin, Texas. How are things over there? How's life treating you?
It's hot, it's hot, and we still kind of got like a quasi, restricted life going on here, but you can do most things normally, just with a few minor inconveniences. But yeah, I'm missing traveling. I'm missing seeing the world, and
Hmm.
but it'll all get back to normal one day.
That's true. So what was your favorite spot that you've traveled to?
Oh man, last year my family and I we went to Denmark for 6 weeks, and that was in Copenhagen and Aarhus, and I've got friends there, so the friends, of course, the people always make the trips. But
Hmm.
I have really fond memories of being in Denmark, and of course, we went during the summer, so it wasn't too cold, and yeah, it's a lovely place, lovely people, and yeah, great environment. So that's of my trips, the most recent one seems to be pretty good for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I was planning on doing a lot of traveling this year, but
Yeah, how's that
I
going
think,
for you?
yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as everyone. For some reason, people had a lot of plans this year, but that 2020 had different ideas in mind.
Yeah,
So,
it is what it is for you.
yeah, so you built an amazing brand, but I want to, get some quick background as to how you got to where you are today. And going back to where you started. So did you go to college at all?
Yeah, so I went your like traditional like listen to what everyone tells you to do, and
Yep.
if you just follow their instructions, you'll find success in life. And so I was on that pathway. I graduated high school with like a 3.35 GPA or whatever, and then I ended up going to the University of South Carolina for 4 years. And I graduated there with a degree in marketing and management with a focus on entrepreneurship and a minor on retail. So I'm actually
Mhm.
one of the few people who has degrees in what I'm currently doing. And probably the courses actually did help with the start of Beardbrand as well.
Mhm.
But after that, I went on this like salesman journey. I was a journeyman salesman for like 10 years, and wasn't really finding happiness or contentness with my career. So I wouldn't really recommend people out there to just like do what people tell you to do. You got to find your own pathway.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the reason why I asked, because I think almost everyone that I talked to in season one didn't go to college, which was really interesting. So, and
Yeah, I mean, I've got, I definitely have opinions on it. I think younger people are certainly capable of achieving great things when they're 18 years old. Like, I don't think that college is necessary. However, if you're kind of in the institutionalized system, you're going to public schools, you've been told all your life just to do well on tests and you'll be successful, and go to college, you'll be successful. If you're like programmed that way, then yeah, college is probably the best for you, because you're not going to be able to find that kind of success at a young age. You need to be really trained isn't the right word, but you need to be prepared to hit the ground running at a young age. Starting in really like grade school, middle school, and then high school needs to really be developing you for being independent. So there
Mhm,
are schools out there. We're putting our daughter in a school like that, that's really project based, focused, child focused, student led kind of thing.
mhm.
So hopefully she'll be so well prepared at 18 that she'll have the option whether or not she wants to go to college or have a successful career without it.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think that's something that I thought I missed when going to public school or college. It was like that project based or that student driven type of learning. Whereas entrepreneurship is basically that, like you learn as you go.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
you never stop learning, and that's what schools did to me that I didn't realize till later, is they destroyed my passion for learning.
Mhm,
Right, like I got out of school like just trying to figure out how to manipulate tests, and or study for the test, study for the grade, not study to learn. And it took me like 10 years to really get my mind realizing what the world, what you need to do in the world to take control of your life and your
mhm.
activities. And I wish I knew that at a younger age. I feel like public schools took 10 years out of my career just because I was doing what they're told, and I wasn't willing to break those shackles.
Mhm. And that sales job, was that the financial advisory job, or was that did you transition to financial advisory after the sales job?
Yeah, so I was totally, like I said, a journeyman. So my first job out of college was working at Dell Computers, and then I did after that. I only did that for a couple months. Then I moved to lead generations for Cisco Systems, which make routers. I did that for like a year and a half, and then I moved to Charlotte, and I sold commercial printing for like 3 or 4 years, and then I moved to Washington with my wife and her career. And I at that time it was really my first time of trying to start a business. I had this e-commerce business called Wakamo selling vinyl wall graphics, and I sold 2 units, and then I got scared and I didn't do anything. And then I ended up taking the job as a financial advisor, slinging stocks and bonds and ETFs
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So, like none of them are related. It's like, well, I mean, computers and routers are kind of related, and then like commercial printing and financial services are completely,
Yeah.
completely. And then I went on to become a designer. So I'm just like going back to like I do enjoy learning. Like I
Yeah.
very much love learning, and you can't have those career shifts without having some kind of passion for learning. So it was just trying to find that spark of self-directed learning rather than people telling me what to learn.
Mhm. And it was during that time of your life that the idea of Beardbrand started, right? I think you mentioned that you're seeing people not growing beards or stuff like. Can you talk a little bit more about that, or on how the idea of Beardbrand started?
Yeah, I mean, it does really go back to my times in college where, I remember going to a counselor talking about getting a job, and they always said the first thing you need to do is shave your beard if you're interviewing for a job. And to me, like that just sounds ridiculous. It's like, eh, there's just these weird societal rules and guidelines that, like why are they rules? Like what, like it takes people questioning like why you need to do that. So
Mhm.
that always just kind of like I listened to him, I followed him. So I'd shave my beard. I hated it, right? I shaved my face. I hated I hated shaving. I didn't enjoy it. I always liked having some kind of stubble. It didn't matter if it was a lot or a little, but I liked having facial hair. And so that kind of went on for like literally like 10 years, this battle between me like wanting to have some kind of facial hair and feeling a societal pressure to not have one, whether it's from my mom or from the boss. And the boss may have not even cared at all. Like it was just like this internal kind of mindset.
Hmm.
So after leaving as a financial advisor and starting my graphic design business, that's when I started growing my beard out. This was 2000, I think it was 2011ish, and it wasn't. It was then that I started realizing there's people like me who are, like the traditional bearded guy you think of as like ZZ Top or Duck Dynasty, Grizzly Adams, like these kind of like manly man. I want to say I'm not like a manly man, but these hands were made for keyboards. Okay, keyboard mice. They were not made for axes and hammers and shovels and stuff. So I started to meet other guys like me, doctors, lawyers. I'm not a doctor, lawyer, but just like kind of like urban city type of guys growing good beards. And that's when I realized there was this growing community of people who are kind of bucking the trend of being able to wear facial hair in environments that traditionally wasn't acceptable societally speaking. And it was at that point I got the inspiration to kind of unite this community and give them the tools. They needed to feel confident about their style, feel confident about who they are. And then, so Beardbrand was going to be that company, and the type of people we ended up calling them urban beardsmen. So, yeah, that was the inspiration, back in the beginning of 2012 is when I got the first idea.
Hmm. And then when you started the idea, the first product was the beard oil, correct?
Yeah. So we actually started, by reselling, um, a manufacturer's products.
Okay.
And we bought three products. We had two beard oils, two different fragrances, and one mustache wax. So the website was like super basic at the time. Didn't even develop our own products. It was just like taking advantage of an opportunity we had because I had been blogging about beards. I was kind of like the de facto expert on it because I was literally the only one on the internet talking about beards in 2012. So a reporter for the New York Times quoted me, and I told Jeremy and Lindsay, my now partners, I'm like, hey, why don't we like try to take advantage of this PR and build a site and reach out to the manufacturer, made that first order. So everything came together like literally within a week, and then
Hmm.
we pushed the website live, and then the article went up like the next day or 2 days later, something like that.
Hmm. And when that went live, did you sell like a bunch of products, or was it
Oh yeah, it
just a
was like
couple?
millions and millions and millions, like the golden ticket. Nah, I think we had like maybe like $500 or $600 of sales over the first few weeks,
Mhm.
and
Now
then
was
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
an
was
almost.
gonna say, was that like before or after, like when you were going to trade shows? And I know you had said that in one of your interviews that you went to a trade show and someone asked, like, okay, like what's the difference between your product
Yeah,
and all these products out there? And yeah, can you talk more about that?
yeah. So I mean, we I always had a vision for the company as this organization to really focus on our clients and supporting them, and being education first, product first. But I always wanted it to be this, like originally I wanted it to be this lifestyle company of how like Lululemon is to yoga, Vans is to skaters. Beardbrand was going to be that for urban beardsmen. And I thought the products for that was going to be like apparel. But it turns out it wasn't. It turns out it was going to be grooming products. And so once we knew that, like, we're big on kind of, well, like freedom. Freedom is one of our core values. And to have freedom, you need to have a little bit of control. And to have control, you have to have your own products, because if the manufacturer ever went out of business or raises prices on us, or like did something bad, then we would really be in a bad situation. So it was a few months into getting some traction that we decided to develop and formulate our own products in-house and to start manufacturing them. So I think we launched in like June. So we launched the website originally in January with these 3 products, and then
Okay.
in June, we developed and launched our own products side by side. So once we did that, it was just trying to get the word out and trying to grow however we could. And we just had no idea. Like, what do? We go to trade shows. We go to little fairs. What are they called? Like market shows or whatever, local market shows.
Yep.
And so we did go to a few trade shows, and the first few ones, like people are like, "What the heck is beard oil? Why would I want to put that on my face?" And I'm like, "Here, try it." I'd be giving products away. I was the sham wow guy. I'm just like, "Yeah, man, it's gonna like soften up your beard," and people would love it, and they always had a good experience with it. Loved the fragrances. And then after like 1 or 2 shows, we ended up going to this other one, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I appreciate you telling me about this, but what makes your beard oil better than XYZ beard oil?" I was like, it just totally blew my mind, caught me off guard, because no one up to that point had heard of beard oil before. We were creating a new market, and I was not prepared with like, "Oh, what makes this better?" Well, I didn't even know anything else was out there. So I don't know. I think I didn't have a very convincing, retort to that, because I was so caught off guard with it.
Mhm. Now, from then to like now to what Beardbrand is, can you talk about some of the different changes that you've made that has made the product really different?
Yeah, I mean, um, w- this business, we're very fortunate to have this business, Beardbrand, because I'll speak from my personal standpoint. First of all, I have amazing co-founders. So I just love working with them. And a lot of challenges in business is your co-founders, and having a working relationship with people who you really know and trust. And that took time. We certainly had our ups and downs, and I'm sure we'll continue to have ups and downs in the future. But I couldn't ask for any better business partners. And then, like for me personally, what I love, like the whole, like I said, like this whole beard journey for me starts way back until when I could first grow facial hair. Um, so I love the product. I love our mission. I love what we're doing. And then, like in the early days, I was all about creating the website and fulfillment, e-commerce, and all those things are super exciting for me too. So like I love the business model, and I loved how it was scalable, and then I loved creating new products. So we started with like beard oil, mustache wax, and then we grew and we grew. So we have a beard wash and a beard softener, and then a utility balm and a styling balm, and then a utility bar, and then a sea salt spray, and then a cologne, and then a shampoo and conditioner. And our goal always is like, like this company, I mean, it is for the community, but it's also for me. Like I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy the journey. I want to enjoy the pathway. That's why it's so important to have business partners who I love working with, and to have a team that I love working with. And I want to have products that I love using, because like why make a product where you're making sacrifices
Right.
that you don't even want to use it when it's not the best. So we formulate everything with the expectation that we're going to do something innovative, something unique, something that's not being done on the marketplace currently. And for some products, it's really hard, like shampoo and conditioner. I think we've got probably the best men's shampoo and conditioner that you've ever had. But guys are on such autopilot with shampoo and conditioner, and they don't even know how much better it can be. So it's a fun challenge, to develop these products and package them differently, or have different kind of applications or different functions and uses for the product. So yeah, it's been
Mhm.
fun. I don't know if that answers your question, but I can talk about products all day long if you want me to.
No, definitely. And I think like what I really like is that like you did what like brands today are trying to do, which is start like find like that community, start building that community with putting out content and then releasing a product. And I think today, like a lot of brands are struggling to be profitable because they create the product first and then try to find people to buy the product.
Yeah, I think it's we're a very mission oriented company, and I think we see things a little bit differently. Like we sell now. I love products and I love selling products. And again, like I said, I can talk about products all day long. But the reason that we have products is because it essentially finances our mission. It allows us to, our mission is to make men awesome. It allows us to reach a larger audience. It allows us to, continue to push, content that we believe in, that we think will make the world a better place, because we believe that when guys invest in themselves, and they start to love themselves and they start to have confidence in themselves, then they're able to share that positivity with, their loved ones, their spouse, or their partners, their children, and then also into their career, and then ultimately into the community. And then like the world a better place from the ground up by making individuals better, or inspiring individuals to become better, then the world's going to be a better place. And that's our goal, is like, we want to leave the world a better place than when we got. And the products, the products are a way for us to fund that. And they also help people, they also help with the confidence, and they help with that self-investment and loving the person who's looking back at you in the mirror. But I think a lot of companies are very product first. It's like, oh, I've got this great product. It does A, B, Z. It's got these kind of features. What kind of marketing channels can I do to capture my audience? And like, oh, content marketing is a new hot thing. Let's go do a blog and, YouTube. And it's not authentic, because that's not their mission, right? Their mission is to make more money by selling more products. And it's not right or wrong. I'm not judging them. But it can be challenging. The other thing about us is we're bootstrapped. So when we started, we literally had no money. We had no money at all. So like, what are you going to do when you have no money? You do things that you have time. So you have time, you don't have money. And that means like being on social media. That means creating content. That means writing. That means, sharing your story. And so we did that. And we didn't have an option. I mean, what else were we going to do? Sit around and hope people just randomly found out about us?
Right. And going back to community, and that's something that I want to really base the rest of this conversation on, is that like you guys have done such a great job at like building this community on YouTube and Reddit, through your blog, etc. Can you talk about like how like you are either like, whether it's like the content that's building the community, or whether it's like the community's connection to you that's making the community grow? Can you talk about like how you guys have been able to like build this community?
Yeah, community to me is an abstract word, because I think like different people interact with the brand in different ways. Some people are like really super passionate, and then some people just kind of watch a couple of videos and they go on their way. Some people, maybe don't buy any of or don't view any of our content, and they just order from us. They were recommended by a friend. So community, when I think of community, the first thing that comes to my head is like a Facebook group, or like a private forum, and like certain kind of members associated with it. And it took me a little longer into building the business to realize it is the people who watch the videos regularly, and they may not comment, they may not say anything. They may just kind of browse the content, read the emails, read the blog posts. And, that's kind of what we're trying to do. I never wanted Beardbrand to be Eric Brand. I never wanted it to be this cult of personality. I wanted to have a business that if something ever happened to me, like I get incapacitated, or I move on or retire, that the company would still grow and thrive, and there would still be people within the organization that could resonate with our audience. So that's why early on we brought on multiple creators to our YouTube channel. So we had Jeff Boncristiano, Joel Daniels in the early days. And then now we've got Greg Brzezinski, Carlos Costa, and Ben Wilson, who are kind of like our regular studio style personalities. And then we have our barbers, Bob Miranda, we've got Chris Howard, we've got, Andy up in Philly, Jake the barber. So we've got a lot of different talents that kind of represent the brand in their own unique way, which is, completely different. Cause I am like this goofy, like laid back, um, not serious, but sometimes serious kind of guy, and a little bit abrasive and a little bit divisive. Whereas like Greg is like your dad you wish you had, and Carlos is kind of like this really cool like hipster. I don't know if you'd be okay with me calling him a hipster, but he's definitely a hipster with his tattoos and um, but everyone on the channel really represents our core values of freedom, hunger, and trust really well, and what we're trying to do to help our audience and encourage men to become better versions of themselves. So it's been fun to have people that care about things and care about helping others.
Mhm. Now, when it comes to the content that you've been putting out, specifically video content, I think a lot of brands do struggle when it comes to creating content. It's like, okay, what style of content works? Should I make it funny, or like what really works, right? So do you have like any like sort of secret sauce that you found to work in terms of like getting people to watch, getting them to stick around, and kind of like starting to build some sort of like following?
Yeah, I mean, it if you told me your exact business, I could probably come up with some kind of concept or ideas. It is challenging, and we still struggle with it to this day. I mean, the ideation is pretty easy, but the execution is pretty challenging. When you think of content, it kind of really comes down to like a few different ways. Like one is educational, where someone's searching for something and then you provide value. It could be a product review. It could be, like teaching someone about something related to your business. And then entertainment is the other one. So you try to have fun on camera and generate interest through entertainment. And, ideally, maybe you hit both in the same case. I, um, I think a lot of mistakes that brands are making if they're trying to sell on YouTube or to build content on YouTube is one, they are not creating enough content. You need to create 2 or 3 videos a week. So plan on like 150 videos that first year. And it is going to take, 2 to 3 years to build up a channel to a successful level. So that's a lot. I mean, that's 450 videos. Like that's a pretty daunting task. Like, are you prepared to do that? Do you think you have enough creativity to do that? Do you know, are you willing to like grind through it? So that's one thing. And then I think the other thing they do is they're too like me focused, right? They're too like, here's my product, buy my product, learn about this, buy this course, and they're not audience focused. You got to be audience focused. And, like the whole 90-10 rule or 80-20 rule, like 80% or 90% of your content needs to be for your audience, and then that 10% should be about you and making sure they do need to be aware that you have things that can bring value to their life. So you don't want to completely avoid it, but at the same time, it can't just be the only thing about your channel. I think here's a YouTuber. The channel is called like Rose Anvil, and he makes these like camera straps, right? But his channel is like cutting shoes in half, and so like he'll give shop tours and things like that. You'll get to know him a little better, but people come in to check out his shoes getting cut in half, and then they learn about his business, and then if they're photographers, they'll probably give him a shot because he's a really cool dude, and you want to support someone who's entertained you and brought value to your life.
Yeah. And I think that's like the biggest piece that is missing from a lot of the content that I've seen from brands, is that it's always about the product and it never really adds value to the person that is looking up the content. So I think what you're proposing here is that first try to figure out what questions people are asking and then answer those questions. And if you're creative, then try to come up with ideas that might be funny and entertain people. Because I think a lot of the videos
Yeah.
that I've seen, it's like very uh, like designer, like showing the product in different ways, and they're just like a couple seconds long, and it's just all about the product, never about like adding any value to the person.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like there's a lot of different ways. Like a lot of people do want reviews, they want product reviews, but if you only have a couple of products, there's only so many videos you can make of that style. I think, and people generally want unbiased or less biased kind of review. So if you're reviewing your own products, they'll kind of give you shit for that. I think the big thing that I want to say is like, you have to understand what your joys in life are. Okay. Like if you like being in front of the camera and like putting on a show, video is great. If you don't, then maybe you can write the script and hire someone to be on camera. Um, or if you like editing, again, like because everything you do in content marketing is going to be a grind. So if you prefer writing over video, then focus on your blog, focus on your email list. If you like photography, focus on Instagram. Like if you like video, then focus on TikTok or YouTube. So don't do something because you're like, oh, Beardbrand's killing it with video. It drives 40% of their business. We should do video. Nah, that's like the most terrible reason to do anything. It's like, where are your strengths and your comfort lie, and maximize that to the best of your abilities.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to talk about Reddit for a second because it's a topic that no one ever talks about in the direct-to-consumer space. And every time you hear about Reddit, it's about memes and and people usually discourage you not to go on Reddit. So how were you able to like build the community on Reddit? Like, is there a specific type of content that's working or a specific way to structure your brand? Yeah.
Yeah, Reddit's super hard. The audience is like really fickle. I've been on Reddit for 8 years now, and I do feel like the community's shifted and evolved to a little more groupthink mentality. So it is a little bit more challenging to be a contrarian or to have like a minority opinion in there, just through the nature of like upvotes and downvotes. Unfortunately, majority is always going to win, and they've gotten away from reminding people that upvotes mean like good conversation and good discussions. It doesn't mean agree or disagree. That being said, like there are like best practices. Like you've got to engage in the communities you want to be a part of, and engage means like if someone posts, you reply to it. If in our case, there's a subreddit called Reddit Beards. It means like if people are posting photos and asking for tips and advice, then you give those tips and advice. Or if they just need some positivity and they have a great looking beard or they got a cool looking haircut, then you do that. Other great ways is to create like guides for them. Like ultimate guides are usually pretty beneficial and well regarded, especially if you're not self-promoting. Reddit will kill you if you try to self-promote. There are like, like kind of, again, like if you're focusing on bringing value to the community, people will find out who you are. And those are the people who you want to be your customers. Those are who are really passionate enough to like go through all the loops to be like, oh yeah, I really like this guy or girl, and they brought a lot of value and I want to support them. So that's kind of how you want to do it. We've also created like we didn't want anyone to grab our subreddit. So we have like Beardbrand and Urban Beardsman subreddits. And then we have a Beardbrand subreddit where we just auto post our videos onto there, but there's no intent at all other than to just have the content going in there. So it's not the strategy I would recommend. But we've built our community on a private forum platform, and that's kind of where we want our customers to come in because it's a little bit safer and you can be a little more vulnerable with your goals and what you're dealing with rather than being on a public forum like Reddit is.
Mm-hmm. I think that was kind of like my experience. I've been on Reddit a few times and I feel that people ask a lot of good questions. And if you're there just providing answers, people are just going to naturally gravitate towards your brand and try to figure out, okay, what does this person sell, etc. But you're right. Like if you promote yourself, like either you get kicked out or there's going to be, Reddit will definitely kill you for doing that.
I mean,
So.
But you gotta try it, right? Like you gotta have a thick skin. I'm willing to post my own content onto Reddit and self promote, and if it gets upvoted, it gets upvoted. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like if I get banned from a subreddit, I get banned from a subreddit. You know, like you just because you're not going to. What's the difference between posting your own content and doing a little bit of self promotion in a way that will resonate with the audience, versus, you know, like being too afraid to post content, and just literally not promoting it at all. So it's like it's the same effect. Like if you get banned or if you don't post at all, same effect. Nothing's being seen. So nothing's lost.
Now you mentioned TikTok. Are you guys on TikTok yet?
Oh, dude, look at me. I'm
Okay.
nearly 40 years old. I don't know how that young people stuff works. It gives me like I get anxiety going on TikTok. It's just too much stimulation. I don't know how you young people do it.
Oh man,
I
yeah,
assume.
I think
Are you on TikTok?
yeah, I'm on TikTok,
Yeah.
and I think like yeah, you should. I think for the content that you're making, to be on TikTok, you kind of have to consume the content for a while to really understand how the platform works. Otherwise, like if you just jump in and repurpose your current videos, I don't think they're gonna do too well. So
Nah, they won't. So we're just focused on like the platform. We have a kind of a mindset now, and I have a tendency to want to try everything, but the mindset now is like get better at the things we're doing well.
mm,
Because there's opportunity to create videos better, to, you know, engage with our customers on Instagram better, and then once we've totally saturated that, then we'll consider, you know, getting on TikTok or whatever. But you know, we got 1.6 million subscribers on YouTube, and then we got like 130,000 on Instagram. So you know, the market's there, but have we
mm.
executed enough to grow that audience? Clearly not, right? So what are we doing wrong? How do we need to improve it to get the Instagram to be at the same level as YouTube?
So do you always like recommend growing one channel first, and once that's going well, then moving it to another channel?
I think if you have scarce resources, it's better to be focused. And um, but if you have bandwidth to handle two, and you've got the inherent talent to do it, then it's okay to do two. You know, like I've kind of evolved with this. My early days, it was like you want to be on all the platforms that your customers may be, and then it's
Mm,
kind of evolved to like do fewer things really well, is better than. Um, but it kind of goes back to like our strategy shifted. You know, in the early days, we wanted to take over the world and be the leader, and now since like September 2016, we decided to enjoy the journey instead. And when you enjoy the journey, it means like, you know, do things that you love doing, and then, you know, if there is opportunity to find love in new things like TikTok, then you know, do that. But right now, if we want to find love in TikTok, that's probably hiring someone who's good at TikTok rather than trying to learn it, because I just have no interest in that platform.
yeah. So going back to what you said earlier, the content or your audience currently drives about 40% of your revenue. Now, are you then focused on the rest is driven through like paid acquisition, like Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, you
I'm
want
assuming.
your when you log into your Google Analytics dashboard and you create the little pie chart that is a revenue by source or whatever, revenue by medium. You want that to be a very equal shaped pie. So you've got your direct traffic, you've got your email, you've got your referral, you've got your social paid, you know, and then you've got so like our pie is pretty nicely shaped, and the the reason that's good is because if something happens with one of the channels, you know, you'll take a dip, but you're not going out of business, right? But if you
Yeah.
built your whole business exclusively on, let's say you built your whole business exclusively on TikTok, and then Donald Trump's like, ban it. And you're like, well, I guess I should have been on Instagram, you know, like, so you want to have, you know, 20% on TikTok, 20% on Facebook, 20% on IG, 20% on YouTube, or however it may be, you know. So it could be,
Yeah.
you know, for us, it's like 20% on Beardbrand Alliance, 20% on Beardbrand Barbershop, 20% on, you know, paid Facebook, 20% on, you know, like social media. So there's a lot of different ways for you to build that pie chart where you have, 4 or 5 different channels that are, driving similar amounts of revenue.
Mhm. And now, with the content that you're creating on a channel like YouTube, are you then reusing that content in your ads as well?
Yeah, we've got so we actually have 3 YouTube channels. We have the Beardbrand channel, which focuses on like barbershop cuts, haircuts, beard trims. We have the Beardbrand Alliance, which is our studio, which is kind of like self guidance, self improvement, how to self grooming, how to do stuff at home. And then we have a third channel, which is called Beardbrand Products. And that's where it's 100% promotional stuff. And that's where we run our YouTube ads through that channel. Um, so there's no drive to like get people to subscribe there or anything. It's just a place we put our ads. And then did I think you asked a question that I didn't really answer.
I said, are you then leveraging those the content that you
Oh
create
yeah,
on
yeah. And then
YouTube
the
and
content.
your
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So when we create the ads, of course we'll make it for the format. Like we'll recreate YouTube videos and put it up on Instagram stories or Facebook, and we'll do it in a way that will perform better on those channels. So we'll do like vertical, and then we'll cut it down to like 3 or 4 minutes, whereas on YouTube it's 18 minutes long, and so stuff like that where um, it's essentially the same content but delivered differently.
Mhm. Now, when it comes to email, I do hear some people talk about leveraging content within emails. So, are you emailing this content to your audience, and how do you kind of tie that into also generating revenue?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was 2000. Geez, I think it was like 2015 that we put a very purposeful strategy into email. Up to that point, it was just doing campaign blasts to everyone, and we started building. We hopped on with Klaviyo, which is email provider, ESP, something like that, and we set up what's called flows. So anytime someone joins our newsletter, they'll get the welcome series, like 5 emails or 10 emails, where we kind of walk them through stuff. And then we've started setting up flows for all sorts of things like abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, post purchase, um, and then we also tie all of our content we're producing on YouTube we still do campaigns as well. So we have campaigns that are relevant. So those will be like product launches or back in stock notifications or things that we're loving, or just kind of like, seasonal things or ideas that we have that are not really evergreen type of
Mhm.
content.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love content so much because like you can use it for top of funnel. You can use it for people who have given you like their email address and like the welcome series to teach them about the brand. There's like so many ways like that you can leverage the content, and I think that's something that you guys have really done have done really well, where you have so much content that like like someone new can like watch so many videos and then just be convinced that they should make a purchase.
Yeah, I mean, we would hope that the content's good enough that we bring value to their lives and that they can trust our opinions. And I think it's still challenging. I think bearded guys in particular are fiercely independent and kind of have this like oppositional, defiant streak. So if I tell you, hey man, also like help support the channel, buy a product, they're going to be like, nah, screw you, man. You're just trying to take advantage of us or whatever. And it's like, okay, like you can buy whatever. Like it doesn't bother me. Just buy what makes you feel better. I mean, that's the purpose of our company is like, get better, become better, focus on yourself, and focus on that improvement. And then if you buy our products, that's great because it helps us, spread that mission. But if it doesn't, if you don't want to buy from us or your budget's tight or whatever, then that's also cool. Like we'll be here.
Yeah.
Uh, when you're maybe you've gotten a couple of promotions or you've saved up money and you cut expenses or something like that, we'll be here for that.
Mhm. Now getting more into the personal level, I know everyone's routine has probably changed since this pandemic. Is there any routine or things that you're doing that are helping you perform at a high level?
Well, I don't know if I've ever performed at a high level. So I'll be the first to admit to that. So I don't know if you want to, like, if you're looking to perform at a high level, I'm probably not your guy to follow. But I the quarantine, the lockdowns have been challenging for me. I'm a My two favorite hobbies in life are traveling and rowing. And the boathouse got shut down, um, and of course you can't travel anywhere. Um, so I have, uh, I was hoping it'd just be like 2 weeks, right? And then we
Yeah.
just go back to normal after 2 weeks, and I would just grin and bear it for 2 weeks. But then 2 weeks became 2 months, became, hopefully not 2 years, but it may end up. So eventually, I hit this point, probably about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, where I'm like, okay, well, I've got to get out of this like little funk that I was in, like a little depression funk, and take control. If you saw my tweet today, I said, anxiety is when your mind is in the future. Depression is when your mind is in the past. And contentment is when your mind is in the present. And I was dealing with depression because I wanted my old life back. I wanted the rowing. I wanted the travel back. And I was not happy because I didn't have it. And then I realized, like, I didn't come up with that. Someone else told me that, but it just hit at the perfect time. And it's like, once I hit, I started buying gym equipment. So I built out like a little weightlifting thing in my garage. Fortunately, the boathouse opened up again. It's different than how it was
Mhm.
before COVID, but I'm like, it's okay that it's different. I'll go with it. I can't row the big boats like I used to. It's only the little boats, but that's okay. I'm getting on the water. I'm getting my hands, rough again, and that's been nice. So I've been working out 6 times a week. I'll wake up at 5:15, anywhere between 5:15, 5:45, and then I'll either go to the water, go to the boathouse and hop on the water and row, or I'll go to the
Wow.
garage. And there's this company called Barbell Logic. They do online coaching, and I've got a coach there who's got a little program for me, which is all barbell stuff, so squats and deadlifts and bench press and presses and rows. So that's been really good. That's been a really good routine for me of the past. So I haven't like been going to bed on time, so I may seem a little tired and yawning. So it's literally just all started hitting like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I've finally gotten back into this routine.
Yeah, and I definitely like. I recently went kayaking, and I realized like I wish I could just kayak every morning. So I'm definitely.
Oh,
I love the fact that you go out underwater every single morning.
dude, move here to Austin. Like we got, I've got to dodge all the kayakers. In fact, there was some kayakers this morning. They didn't have any lights on, and you're rowing at 6 in the morning. It's pitch black, and I'm like, my God, I could have just like whacked it with one of my oars. But uh, yeah, kayakers. I love kayaking too. It's great, great workout, great upper body. Yeah, you should do
Mhm.
it, man. We got great
Yeah.
water here.
Yeah, we'll definitely think about it. Austin is an amazing city. So, well, Eric, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm the only Eric Bandholz around, but pretty much I've been killing all my social media platforms and focusing on Twitter. So my last name's Bandholz. Find me at Bandholz, and then I do have a podcast called Ecommerce Conversations that I talk with other entrepreneurs. So if you're into the e-commerce space, find my podcast there. And then of course, if you're in the business space, I always recommend not only to check out Beardbrand, but to go ahead and buy something from Beardbrand. Doesn't matter if you're due to do that. There's a product you could be using, and then you'll start to see like our welcome series flows, how we communicate, how we package things, and really have a unique experience. So it's worthy of like that $50 investment to just get some market research and use that as inspiration for building your business.
Yeah, we'll definitely leave all those links in the description for people to check out. Now, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, I have one more question for Eric, and he's going to answer that question. And this portion of this podcast is only going to be on YouTube. So if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, head over to YouTube right now to watch the last portion of this
Oh, and
podcast.
it's a goodie. It's a goodie. You'll
Okay.
want to head over to YouTube. So worth it.
Cool. So welcome to the extras portion of this podcast. I have Eric here, and Eric is going to answer this last question, which is interesting. So the question is there Is there a brand that you love or envy, and why?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's tons of brands that I love and envy. So it's just a matter of which ones. Lately, I've got this drug addiction to caffeine, and there's this amazing brand called Onyx Coffee Labs, and they just relaunched their website, and they have beautiful like typography, beautiful photography. The website's just smashing, and then the product itself is just like, oh man, they make some of the greatest coffee out there. So I'm like buying like every 2 weeks, I'm buying some coffee from them, and they get to me in like 2 days. Like their operations is totally shored up. So if you're a coffee person, Onyx Coffee Labs is great. And then we talked about this in the podcast. Being a rower, I actually I found this running company where their products work well for rowing called Tracksmith, and I think they do a really good job with their products and their photography and trying to bridge that gap between workout wear and leisure wear. So those are two brands off the top of my head that I think are really doing some cool stuff. There's more. There's a lot
Yeah.
more. So I don't know how long.
No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know I'm checking that out right now. Their website looks amazing. The packaging and everything looks really great.
You'll have to get them on the show.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out. Well, thanks again, Eric, and I hope to have you again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks again for listening to this episode, and I hope you learn a lot about how Steven is navigating the retail waters during this pandemic. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please follow this podcast and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more episodes like this. Other than that, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Personal Mastery Podcast.